Hey, this is Notser, and we're taking a look at another work-in-progress ship. This time, we've got the Tier 7 Premium American Cruiser Boise. We're on the map Islands of Ice, and the stats are definitely not final, although I would dare say they are, because it's the Helena, and the Helena feels fine, just with radar, and that's basically the difference between them. So if you're not familiar, wargaming at Tier 7, the American cruisers, the British cruisers, the Soviet cruisers, they have radar at Tier 7. But not the main line, only premiums. This is a policy that I don't really like, because it locks a very important consumable behind a paywall. And I don't really like that. But it does create a situation where you could have the Boise and you could have the Helena. They play very similar to each other. They're the same sort of gun platform, the same layout, the same number of guns. You get the idea. But you have access to a tool that you wouldn't normally have. It's similar to the Missouri versus the Iowa. I think everyone will agree that the Missouri is just a more useful ship, regardless of the credit income or the crew training or whatever the case. Radar is just a game changer, and it's a game changer for Tier 7. The Boise has 15 152mm guns. It kind of reminds me of a Cleveland and a Mogami getting together, having a baby, and this is the baby. Its gun layout is reminiscent of the Mogami, but it has sort of obviously Cleveland features. And the reason I say reminiscent, that number 3 gun is very awkward. You might see it every once in a while if I show the ship off. It rotates the opposite direction of the number 1 and the number 2 gun turret, and it's basically not usable as often as you would like. Similar to the Mogami. Similar to the Izumo. So you got to keep that in mind. So you're usually not using all 15 guns. You're usually using 12 or 6. And that's fine. But that layout, you have to consider. You can't drop the layout. And yes, you can equip defensive fire. I believe the Helena version, instead of radar, you can use an aircraft. I don't remember if you can use an aircraft, but if you're buying the Boise, I don't know why you wouldn't use the radar. But it feels good in the hands of a competent light cruiser commander like myself, who enjoys the Mogami and the Cleveland, every light cruiser, honestly. The Worcester. I just enjoy the whole process. And some people are going to watch this, are going to be going, oh no, it's going to be the same sort of play style. You don't have heal, so you're going to play a little bit of passive play. You're going to use islands to your advantage, of course. Your gun velocity is going to make it difficult to hit targets that aren't big fat battleships at near max gun range. And yes, it's going to play like other American cruisers, but we do disengage and we take advantage of the radar system, which you'll see in a bit. So we're setting up near C point. The enemy has done a concerted effort to push into B point. Now I would like to help my team take them out. So we get the Friedrich der Grosse firing from behind the island. Everything's going to look great. Fire starter, I've got inertia fuse high explosive. I got my typical 19 that I'm testing. Yes, I don't have to retrain for the test version of the ship. Obviously, in the full version, you will absolutely, although this is a premium, so you won't have to do that. But in general, all these light cruisers that I show off, the Worcester, the Tier 8 Cleveland, the Dallas, the Helena, the Seattle, I get to freely maneuver my commander between them, and it just saves a lot of doubloons for testing, so it's great. And yeah, if you can, get inertia fuse high explosive, especially in a situation where we're bottom tier. You know, we will die very quickly if we openly fire. Clearly, I'm not doing that. Clearly, I'm benefiting from friendly smoke, islands, distance. Our team did lose B point, and that is unfortunate. And I'm trying to read the situation, because my radar is up, and as a radar ship, you should always look to try and take out a DD. If you're a light cruiser, you are a DD hunter. Imagine the Mogami with radar. It's terrifying, right? So I move forward, and I'm using my radar. I just want to see how it is. It's basically 1-to-1 with my concealment, which is nice. Sometimes, at least initially, something like the what was it, the Indianapolis, its concealment was pretty crappy. So you had to get in a situation where you were overextending to use your radar. Not the case with the Atlanta, but she only uses 127mm guns, kind of needs a unique commander for it. This one is, carbon copy of all the other light cruisers. This will work perfectly with your Cleveland, and I do mean perfect. It will be a perfect build. So that's something to consider. Now, we spotted the enemy DD a little bit. Didn't do as much as I would have liked against it. Enemy Izuma, though, openly firing, openly visible. Of course, I'm going to set fires to it, and I'm going to try and duck away and be careful. So, I'm detected, though, and I don't believe anyone is actually in range to detect me, so that means that there's an enemy DD somewhere within my maximum gun range that was spotting me. And it's clearly not the enemy that's off to the northwest side. That's not him. The enemy DD must be either perfectly west or perfectly north of me. And I was, hypothesizing this. It's like, well, if I was detected in that position, where would the enemy potentially be? Now, last known position was on the west side, but he could have moved up to the northern area, the northeast area, maybe to harass my team. And while I'm thinking about DDs as the light cruiser, lo and behold, one of the DDs that was never spotted, the Udaloy, went all the way around the map looking for a CV. Now, I would not recommend this play. I would never in a million years spend 5 minutes without any contribution to my team. That seems insane, and this guy took basically 10 minutes to be spotted. Yeah, so I'm gonna direct path go into engage. This is an interesting use case that honestly doesn't come up that much. How quick can I respond to a friendly in need, dire need I might add? So direct line towards him. I know that he has the chance to drop off detection, hold his fire, but I have radar, so he's probably not going to know that. Just because this is a unreleased ship, it's work in progress. This is the least informed the player base will be, so I should be the most successful, potentially, that I ever will be. But we're firing on the enemy Udaloy, who's firing on the friendly CV. CV gets the picture. He is sailing directly towards me. Light cruisers are absolutely great DD hunters. You don't have a speed boost like the French cruisers might have, but, that's okay. It's plenty fast. And the guns just wipe out enemy DD so quick. Friendly aircraft carrier might take a torpedo. We really need to take this guy out, like, pronto. So he sent one set. The Udaloy is an interesting ship because it has one neutral launcher and then one launcher per side. So I use hydroacoustic, expecting maybe another torpedo. He should read the situation as, oh, I am going to die very, very quickly. And I'm absolutely going to get right in the way. There is no way you are going to kill this, my friend. And hydroacoustic spots out the torpedoes. Plenty of time to maneuver around this. I shouldn't take a single one, I don't think. Although it's looking kind of bad at this point. I'm like, am I not going to clear it? No, I'm not going to clear it. A little bit of overestimation on my total speed. It's not a slow light cruiser or a cruiser, but it's not the fastest ship in the fleet. She could make 0.5, but not much more. And my team's doing a great job. We've got a sizable advantage both in ships and capture points. And I'm just going to try and look for maybe an enemy that I can use my radar on. I am way out of position to assist my team in damaging the enemy at this point, but I did keep the aircraft carrier alive and took out an enemy DD. I think that was worth the time invested. But there's not a lot to talk about other than, the Boise is just a Helena. It's 15 guns, 152s. It's got that same sort of gun velocity that you expect from Americans. Its rate of fire is a little slow compared to something like the Cleveland, or the Seattle, or the Worcester, of course. But 15 guns is 15 guns. It feels very comparable to the Mogami and its rate of fire department to me. You know, it's something that's very usable against enemy DDs. Doesn't have quite the velocity of the Mogami, and that's where I would say the Mogami has the better alpha strike, the better long-range engagement potential, and it's got obviously torpedoes, but this has radar. And yeah, radar's really good, guys. It's really good. It's almost like it dictates a lot of the game, and yeah. That's my only pet peeve about all this stuff is the premium nature of radar at Tier 7. You know, the Atlanta, the Indianapolis. It's just something that it's what can I say? It's an advantage. Now, for the Indianapolis, you were giving up a lot. For the Atlanta, you were giving up a lot. You know, you didn't have the same gun caliber as everything else. Or you were a glass cannon, which died in one salvo, like the Indianapolis. So I didn't really mind those. The Belfast really was the one where the ship really felt like it could take advantage of radar all the time. This has the same issues as all the other American light cruisers. If it's spotted, it has no way of hiding itself. It doesn't have the British heel or the British maneuverability. It's not as tanky as you would hope. The light cruiser variant of the Americans is just slightly less tanky. A couple millimeters here or there, but it all adds up. So you're going to be spending a long time around islands, just like the Atlanta, just like all the other light cruisers that you've seen on my channel so far. And, you know, if that's compelling gameplay or not, that's what you're getting. So, Boise, overall, solid ship. It does differentiate itself from the Helena because it has radar, and that's a huge advantage. Is it worth investing over the Atlanta? I don't know. I think the Atlanta is pretty cool. The Atlanta is definitely more unique than this ship because it's sort of a larger DD. And the Atlanta basically performs the way a light American cruiser would and has torpedoes. So those of you who have the Atlanta, when there's a lot, you know, if you're annoyed by the fact that it has really small gun caliber, it is kind of small, maybe doesn't have the highest alpha strike potential that you'd like, yeah, maybe the Boise's the right ship for you. It's still work in progress, though. I just don't think they'll change much. So I hope this was at least informative on what the Boise is, so when you meet it, you could deal with it. And most of that is from defending my teammates, using radars, getting kills on DDs, you know, usual light cruiser stuff. Hope you enjoyed, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.